cooking rice. It's quite like cooking our pasta, okay? It's quite like cooking our pasta, except one big difference. Normally, when we have our pan of pasta, we'd have half a pan of water and a bit of pasta in the bottom, yes? We'd normally do that, yes? Half a pan of water and a bit of pasta. But for the rice, it's different. We have a huge, huge pan of water and a little bit of rice. So a big pan of water to a very small quantity of rice. Because what I'm finding with patients is that they are not putting enough water into the pan, then the water gets very gloopy, it gets full of starch, and then the rice can't cook because basically the rice is sitting in sludge, yes? So you need lots and lots of water. So here I have my big pan of water. I'm going to put on top of it a little bit of oil, any oil at all. I'm using the olive oil because I have it, but sure, you can just use vegetable oil if you want. So some oil on the top. Now, those of you that have been to school will remember, and if you watched the news all last year, do oil and water mix together? No, they don't. Oil sits on top of water. So in my pan, I have all my water and I have my oil sitting on the top. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my rice in, and my rice will hit the oil, and then it will go into the water. So it's going to get covered in oil before it goes into the water. I'm going to cover it in oil before it goes in. So boiling water with a little bit of oil on top, very hot water, temperature, facial sauna temperature, yes, very, very hot water. Not just simmering, it really must be hot. If it's not hot, it will cause a little bit of a problem because the rice will not start to cook straight away and it'll clump together. So you really need to have that water boiling. So my big pan of water with a little bit of rice, yes? What is it? Big pan of water with a little bit of rice, yes. So there's my big pan. Now my water's boiling and my rice is cold, so when I put my rice in, my water won't boil anymore because it's going to bring the temperature down of the water. So you'll see straight away that the water stops boiling. You can possibly see that, you can't see that on the main camera, but the water's stopped boiling. So what I need to do at this point, and this is really critical, is I must stir it until it comes back to boiling. And if I just stir it till it comes back to boiling, okay, if I just stir it till it comes back to boiling, all that rice will be jumping around in the boiling water. If you can imagine, if it wasn't boiling, it would just be going blip, 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 and all the rice would sink to the bottom. So we need it to be, look, it's back to that facial sauna, really boiling madly. So that's fine. Okay, so we can leave that boiling, because I need this for something later on, so we'll leave that. Okay, that's great. So there's the rice on cooking, because we need that. Put that to one side. And, oops, wrong thing. Right, okay, let's come back to the rice then and see what's happening over here. Our rice is cooking away. And it takes a good 10 minutes for the rice to cook. A good 10 minutes for the rice to cook. So give it its full cooking time, and then you can test it. Now you're going to test it by just taking a little bit out of the pan and just seeing if it's soft. So we'll just have a little taste. It's not quite ready. I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. It takes the full 10 minutes. One of the funny things about the rice is, although it's a tiny, tiny little grain, there, you can see it's a tiny grain, it's very compact because this grain has been manufactured, okay? It isn't growing in a field somewhere. This has been compressed by a machine, so it's very intense. So it takes a lot longer to cook than a great big piece of pasta, okay, because of the way it's been manufactured. So always remember that. It's a good 10 minutes for the cooking time. Okay, so what are we going to do with our rice? What we're going to do is, it's nearly cooked, so I'll show you some rice that I've already cooked here. We're going to make some hummus. When you get a chance to make this, this is a lovely, delicious dip that you can have a go at making at home. So here's the rice, and I've cooked it and cooled it down. And I've put it here in a bowl, but often what I do at home is I make lots of rice together and I put it in little bags and I keep it in the fridge with a little bit of oil. I put a little bit of olive oil through it, like so. Little bit of sprinkling of olive oil through it. Stir that oil through it, and then the rice will keep in the refrigerator for maybe 3 or 4 days. So you could maybe cook some for curry and then keep some back to make the hummus a day or two later. And the oil coats the outside of the rice and it preserves it. So you can keep it in the refrigerator for a few days. You can't actually freeze it, but you can keep it in the refrigerator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a couple of spoonfuls, about 5 or 6 spoonfuls of rice there into the bottom of my bowl. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add to it some really flavoursome ingredients. And what I've got here are some vegetables that I've roasted. And you can see I've got some peppers here that I've roasted, some garlic that I've roasted, some aubergine there, a tomato, and I think if buried, oh yeah, some onion, some red onion. Now, one of the things that you need to remember with a low-protein diet is the first thing you eat with is not your mouth. The first thing that you eat with is your eye. The second thing that you eat with is your nose, because you smell the food. And then the last thing is actually the taste. So what happens is the eye, the nose, and then the mouth, you get a reaction of these 3 things together that bring together and bring out the flavour of the food. So the look of the food is really, really important. If you go to a restaurant and somebody puts down the food in front of you, the first thing you'll say is, that looks nice. Yes? So the look of the food is important. I don't mean that it should be fancy, but the colour of the food should be important. The smell of the food should be important. These are really, really important things. What happens with these 2 things then is it triggers a little thing in your brain and it sends a message to your mouth to produce lots of juices ready for the food. Now, if those 2 things don't happen, and you just put the food straight into your mouth hasn't got all the juices ready to digest the food, so it doesn't usually taste so nice either. So seeing and smelling the food correctly is really very important. Okay, so here we have our vegetables. I think I'm going to switch off that rice because I think it's just about ready. So I'm going to put in some onion, some red pepper, because this is lovely, some garlic, a couple of tomatoes, and some of that aubergine. Okay, so I'm going to put that in. Like so, that to one side. I'm also going to put in some olives. I'm going to put in a few spoonfuls of olives. If you don't like the olives, obviously you can leave them out, or there's some green olives there. Put in a few olives. If you don't like them, just put in a little bit less. And I'm going to put in some spices, because this is going to make it smell nice. Remember, I was telling you that the smell of the food is very important. So I'm going to put in a spoonful of cumin. And if you like things hot, 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 yes, spicy, spicy, you can put in a little bit and just use the other end of your spoon to just put in a little bit of cayenne pepper. And that will make it a wee bit spicy. If you want it very spicy, you would put in a little bit more, yes? If you want it very spicy, you put in a little bit more. And some salt and pepper. Okay, so you've got a little bit of pepper, you've got a little bit of salt on your olive, so you might not want too much of that. So I'll just put that in, and we're just going to blend this. So this is all with our rice. And our rice is just about ready there, so we'll drain that off so I can show you that the rice is cooked. So here's my magic sieve. Do you like my magic sieve? He's like a little hat, isn't he? It's like a hat. So I'm going to put that in, drain off my water, like so, just so that you can see. And there's my rice, look. It's not all stuck to the bottom of the pan. Is that what's happening to you guys? Sometimes it sticks to the bottom of the pan, but it's not stuck to the bottom of the pan, look, because of that, the temperature of the water and having that oil in there. So pop that there. I don't want to burn the table. Switch that off and then drain off our water. Just drain off our water a little bit there, let it drain away. And then that's ready for use, as I say, but I've let mine go cold because obviously we're making the hummus. So I'll leave this and then I can use this for the next demonstration. So there it is, cooling off. We'll pop that to one side. That's it there when it's all cooled. Yes, that's it all cooled and drained off. Right, okay, so how are we going to do the hummus? We're going to do the hummus now by just blending those together with a blender. So we'll get the blender. Loads of machines here for the boys. They were having a ball setting up the room. So the blender, and I'm just going to blend that together. And I'm not going to make it too smooth. I want it to have a little bit of a texture to it because the colour is important to me. Little bits of red, little bits of black will make it look more attractive. So can you see what it's looking like? Yes? Beginning to look. And what we're doing here with the rice, and the rice is absolutely fantastic for this. It's really a wonderful product. And the only thing that patients are doing wrong is not having enough water. That's the thing that really people have been doing wrong with their rice, is lots and lots of water and a little bit of rice. Yes? Lots of water and a little bit of rice. So maybe 10, 12 times the amount of rice, and of water to rice. So there we go. Can you see that it's looking really nice and flecked now? So that's our hummus. Pop that. And we have some low protein crackers actually that we can, I can perhaps pass that to one of the girls. Suzanne, would you mind putting some of this on crackers and maybe just let everybody have a wee taste? Would that be okay? I have some crackers here.